Okay, good morning, everyone. I would like to call to order the Monday, March 11th meeting of the Judiciary Committee, and we will stand in recess.
All right, I'd like to reconvene the Judiciary Committee meeting for Monday, March 11, 2024. Apologize for the slight delay this morning. Any remarks from my co-chair? All right, if not, let's move into our agenda. We have nominations for review to be a judge of the Superior Court. I'll first entertain a motion to favorably report on the governor's nomination of Nicole Anker of South Glastonbury to be a judge of the Superior Court. Motion from Senator Winfield, second from Senator Kissel. Is there discussion on this nomination? Representative Porter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to state for the record that I will be voting no today on this nomination. I do have concerns around the fact that there's no jury trial experience or no trial experience in the last 10 years, for the record, through you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Porter. Further on the nomination? If not, Madam Administrator, please call the roll.
Roll call vote on the resolution confirming the nomination of Nicole Anker of South Glastonbury to be a judge of the Superior Court. Winfield.
Winfield, in the affirmative.
Staffstrom.
Yes.
Flexer.
Yes.
Quinn.
Yes.
Kissel.
Yeah.
Fishbein.
Yeah.
Blumenthal.
Blumenthal votes yes.
Callahan.
Callahan, yes.
Conley.
Conley, yes.
Curry.
Curry votes yes.
Delaney. Dillon.
Dillon, yes.
Doucette.
Doucette, yes.
Ubitsky.
Yes.
Elliott. Gaston. Gilchrist. Godfrey.
Godfrey votes yes.
Paul.
Paul votes yes.
Harding. Hayes.
Hayes votes yes.
Howard. Johnson.
Johnson votes yes.
Khan. Labriola.
Labriola votes yes.
Lesser.
Lester, yes.
Marr.
Marr, yes.
Miller.
Miller, yes.
O'Day.
O'Day, yes.
Osborne. Pavlak D'Amato.
Pavlak D'Amato votes yes.
Porter.
Porter votes in the negative.
Sampson. Sims.
Sims, yes.
Veach.
Veach, yes.
Walker. Wilson.
Wilson votes yes.
All right, as folks know, we do have a public hearing this afternoon, so we cannot hold votes indefinitely. We will hold votes during the course of the committee meeting, and we'll take a break at some point to allow members to catch up on votes before 11 o'clock. Next, I'll entertain a motion to favorably report on the governor's nomination of Tamar R. Burkhead of Hartford to be a judge of the Superior Court.
Second.
Motion from Senator Winfield, second from Senator Kissel. Discussion on this nominee. Representative Fishbein.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Walking into the hearing on Friday, Attorney Burkhead, I was opposed to her nomination. She convinced me during the hearing to support her. That is my intent. I will point out that post-hearing, it was brought to my attention that she defended the shoe bomber when she was a public defender in Boston. And my response to that is, everybody's entitled to a good, competent defense. And as a public defender, you don't get to pick your cases, right? You might not like your client, but that's your job. And I appreciate that there are people there that are able to do that and that are constrained to do that. So I do not hold that against her. She had won me over as far as her nomination prior to that. That didn't change my decision here. And so I thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Chairman.
Further on the nomination. Further on the nomination. Representative Howard.
Thank you. While you're taking a second, I'll just align myself with Representative Fishbein. In fact, the new information that came up after the hearing caused me to hold her in higher favor. As you know, Mr. Chairman, I've asked of our nominees recently, can they, regardless of their personal feelings, stick to the rule of law? I think we can all agree that certain people, we don't particularly care for the things that they did, but as her job as a public defender, she gave him the best defense that he's entitled to under our Constitution. So that particular piece of information helped me hold her in high favor, and I intend to support her. Thank you.
Thank you. And let me echo those remarks as well. Certainly, the fundamental of our system of justice is robust advocacy on behalf of our clients. That is our obligation, duty as lawyers, and certainly to hold providing a robust defense to your client against someone for a judicial nomination. I don't think would be a road we should go down. So with that, Madam Administrator, please call the roll.
Roll call vote on the resolution confirming the nomination of Tamar Burkhead of Hartford to be a judge of the Superior Court. Winfield,
Winfield, in the affirmative.
Staffstrom,
Yes.
Flexer,
Yes.
Quinn,
Yes.
Kissel,
Yes.
Fishbein, Blumenthal,
Blumenthal, yes.
Callahan,
Callahan, yes.
Conley,
Conley, yes.
Curry,
Curry, yes.
Delaney,
Delaney, yes.
Dillon,
Dillon, yes.
Doucette,
Doucette, yes.
Dubitsky,
Yes.
Elliott, Gaston, Gilchrist, Godfrey,
Godfrey votes yes.
Paul,
Paul votes no.
Harding, Hayes,
Hayes votes yes.
Howard, Johnson,
Johnson votes yes.
Khan, Labriola,
Labriola votes yes.
Lesser,
Lesser, yes.
Marr,
Mar votes yes.
Miller,
Miller, yes.
O'Day,
O'Day, yes.
Osborne,
Osborne votes yes.
Havelock D'Amato,
Havelock D'Amato votes yes.
Porter,
Porter votes in the affirmative.
Sampson, Sims,
Sims votes in the affirmative.
Veach,
Beach votes yes.
Walker, Wilson,
Wilson votes yes.
Next, I'll entertain a motion to favorably report on the governor's nomination of Corinne A. Vendola of Wallingford to be a judge of the Superior Court. Motion from Representative Fishbein, second from Senator Winfield. Is there discussion on this nomination? Discussion? If not, Representative Fishbein for a motion, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I move that we create a consent calendar. We move the nomination of Corinne Vendola to that consent calendar.
Is there objection to placing this nomination on consent? If there's no objection, so ordered. Next, I will entertain a motion to favorably report on the governor's nomination of Kristen A. Connors of Newtown to be a judge of the Superior Court.
Second.
Motion from Senator Winfield, second from Senator Kissel. Discussion on this nomination? If not, Representative Fishbein.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we move the nomination of Kristen A. Connors to the consent calendar.
Is there objection? Seeing none, so ordered. Next, I'll entertain a motion to favorably report on the governor's nomination of Stephen R. Dembo of Bloomfield to be a judge of the Superior Court.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Representative Osborne, second from Senator Kissel. Discussion on this nomination? Discussion? Seeing none, Representative Fishbein.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we move the nomination of Stephen R. Dembo of Bloomfield to the consent calendar.
Is there objection? If not, so ordered. Next, I'll entertain a motion to favorably report on the governor's nomination of Cody N. Garnieri of South Windsor to be a judge of the Superior Court.
Second.
Motion from Representative Porter, second from Senator Kissel. Is there discussion on this nomination? Is there discussion? Seeing none, Representative Fishbein.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we move the nomination of Cody N. Guarini of South Windsor to the consent calendar.
Is there objection? Seeing none, so ordered. Next, I'll entertain a motion to favorably report on the governor's nomination of Christine Jean Louis of Wallingford to be a judge of the Superior Court. Second from Senator Winfield. Second from Representative Porter. Is there discussion on this nomination? Is there discussion? Seeing none, Rep. Fishbein.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion, we move the nomination of Christine Jean-Louis of Wallingford to the consent calendar.
Is there objection to placing this item on consent? Seeing none, so ordered. Next, I will entertain a motion to favorably report on the governor's nomination of Devant J. Joyner of Middletown to be a judge of the Superior Court.
So moved. Second.
Motion from Senator Kissel, second from Senator Winfield. Is there discussion on this nomination? Representative Fishbein.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, the proceedings that come before us, I take very seriously, especially when we are putting people on the bench. That's one of the most important jobs that we have, is to take those nominees submitted by the governor's office and to do our vetting, review what we got, and sign off, so to speak. And during the hearing, I was given a significant amount of pause with regard to Attorney Joyner going on the bench. In particular, well, first of all, the writing samples. You know, we, or I, have faith in our system. I think that all should have faith in our system. And, you know, when a judge hears a case, a contested case, and, you know, the lawyers, the litigants, many times pro se parties are waiting for that decision, you hope that it's discernible. You hope that it's written in such a fashion that it's interpretable, that the appellate court, should it get involved, is able to figure out what it means, and that we can be proud of that product. We ask nominees to submit writing samples. I read just about everything that comes before our committee. And with regard to Attorney Joyner, the writing samples were at best unacceptable. Significant punctuation, grammar, spelling errors. And he, when I asked him about it, he said, well, you know, these things are written many times quickly on the eve of trial. You don't get a pass on that stuff. I put motions together before trial. Yeah, I make a couple typos. You know, you see it today in titles because Word doesn't spell check titles, so you see titles many times in documents that are misspelled. But in the body of the document, you know, Word, most commonly used word processing program, many times will fix grammar these days too. I have no evidence of those flags being on those documents, but you would at least proofread the documents, I would think, before you submit them on behalf of us. State's attorneys, they sit there representing us, the public. The next area that gave me significant pause was the allegation of prosecutorial vindictiveness. And I watched the hearing 4 times over the weekend. I just wanted to make sure that I got all this right, and that I wasn't telling my fellow committee members today what happened last Friday without having some significant level of assurances. And I asked him, in the last 2 years, has a motion to dismiss been filed in a case alleging prosecutorial vindictiveness against you? And his first response was, I don't recall. And then I asked a little bit more, and he said, well, you'd have to give me a cite. And I asked a little bit more, and, you know, we finally got, you know, and I said, I'm looking at the document, right? So, gotcha. And what we learned from that case is that 2 individuals were arrested. One of those individuals agreed to a plea of an infraction. creating a public disturbance, paid a fine, and they were done. The other individual says, well, prove it. I want to go to trial. That is my right. I want to go to trial. And the system spends its time preparing for trial and all of that. And on the eve of trial, Attorney Joyner tells us that he met with the police officer and the victim. And he decided that as a result of those interviews, that he had additional charges he was going to bring against this particular individual that he could prove beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the standard in criminal court, right? So you have a state's attorney, prosecutor who adds charges on the eve of trial that he can prove beyond a reasonable doubt. So then this motion gets filed, alleging prosecutorial vindictiveness. And as a result of that, there's a sit down with his supervisor and other individuals in the office. And the decision is made, instead of prosecuting those charges, to nolly the case. So, you know, judges don't see every motion that's filed, but by getting rid of the case, the allegations don't come to the attention of the judge. The judge doesn't hear the arguments. It just goes away. I feel for the victim in that case. The victim that was waiting for justice. The victim that probably was told, based upon this interview, there's going to be additional charges. There's a level of closure to that process. They find out going to trial, not only we're going to prove what was originally alleged, we're going to prove more. I feel for the victim who then found out, more than likely, that nothing was going to happen to that case. We're going to nolly the charges. And the only intervening action between those two things was the filing of the motion claiming prosecutorial vindictiveness. So, you know, I pass no judgment on whether or not that motion would have been successful, but it's certainly not helpful for the system. I don't know how I can support the nomination given all of those things. But then we also have the issue that there's an outstanding grievance against the nominee that, to my knowledge, has not been resolved. So arguably, we're putting somebody on the bench who has an outstanding grievance. As I started with this, I have faith in the system. I, however, do not have faith in this nominee. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Further questions or comments, Representative Porter?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do want to state for the record that I will be a resounding no on this nomination. And I'm really disappointed with all that's been said and all that's been discussed that we are actually here having to vote on this nominee. I have spoken to several people, judges, attorneys from both sides of the court, plaintiffs, community members, especially community members in my district, but throughout the state, phone calls, conversations around exactly what Representative Fishbein has elaborated on, but not limited to that. The prosecutorial vindictiveness is a serious concern. And although it has not been substantiated, I will say allegations. They have been made on numerous occasions, not just this one time that Representative Fishbein is talking about. They've been made to me. The written sample, very concerned around that. And just for the record, it was not about grammar for me. It was the fact that this is being submitted to the Judiciary Committee. And I think the time and the effort should have went into making sure that the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed. It's basic. It's basic. That's nothing high level. And then the last thing that I will say about this nominee, because I'm not going to belabor the issue, but I myself, have been in New Haven court. And it was at one point from about 1 to 2 years where I had the opportunity to experience this nominee's behavior in court, conversations in hallways, and I was taken aback and offended, frankly, by what I saw, what I heard. And we talk about temperament. And for me, that is the great cause today that gives me pause. We talk about robitis. That is a tremendous concern for me today around the fact that, if this nominee was to make it to the bench as a judge with that kind of power and authority, how would it be wielded under what I've actually witnessed with my own 2 eyes, heard with my own 2 ears, and then from people of good character, people that I honor and respect, I trust and believe, people that I have relationships with, that I know really well. And I can't take what's being shared slightly. And this is not something that's just been shared with me. This is actually, been the experience of people in communities that look like mine. So I'm talking about the urban centers throughout this great state of Connecticut. We have several elected officials that have received the same calls from church, from clergy, like I said, people of high esteem. And I just really, I need to put it on the record. I really need to put it on the record because there's been several things that have occurred with this nominee that have been quite offensive to me. And one of them that I will say is that, it's been stated that we don't have a lot of Black males on the bench. And that, we should be able to put him on the bench. And what I want to say today on the record is that the governor's office, no one, in fact, gets to dictate what our representation looks like. Representation matters. It matters. And if you have the Black community telling you that they have an issue and that they are receiving tremendous pushback from their community around this nominee, and we don't take pause on that, we bring it forth anyway, what is that saying to us? What does that say to me as a so-called Black woman representing an underrepresented community that has a huge problem with this nominee? What does that say? Who's listening? Who cares? These are the questions that are being asked. And I'm having to ask them of myself. Do our voices fall on deaf ears? How we feel, what we perceive, how we're treated, does it matter? Because if it does, I don't understand why we are here today having to have this discussion in such a public way. And I remained quiet because I was hoping that it wouldn't come to this, because the conversations were had in private. And yet here we are. Here we are with this nominee sitting before us for a vote. And I just think it's a real slap in the face to me and to my community, to the people that I represent, that this is how it's going to be handled today. Better than nothing. That was said. Better than nothing. No, this is not better than nothing. If we want true representation for our communities, I believe that there needs to be conversations with our communities and the representatives that represent those communities before these nominees come before us. This is what I'm asking today. Because it makes it awkward. And it makes it disingenuous. And it makes it disrespectful for us to have to be here doing this today, especially after the conversations that have been heard. I'm really disappointed. And I take this very seriously. And I don't think that there should be rubber stamps when it comes to this, and that, we should have to worry about a bad look or setting a precedent if we don't do this. The bad look would be doing this. And the precedent that would be set would be a bad one. So today, I will end on this note. I am a resounding no. I speak for myself and I speak for my community. I speak for the people that have reached out from within my district and from without my district. And I hope that my colleagues will support me on this in voting no on this nominee today. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Senator Winfield?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Struggle with this one. So, how do you handle it? You have people, extremely credible people who don't come together. Then I've had some conversation with judges, prosecutors, and defense attorneys. I've said that Trinity doesn't come together for one of these pushes to not vote in the affirmative on one of these nominees. It's highly abnormal. Years ago, when I was just a member of the committee, there'd be no way I'd even still be considering voting yes. Too much has come to me to say yes. The only reason why I'm still even considering it is because I'm also aware that people could just go after someone. I've seen that happen as well. But Representative Fishbein said something when he started. He said, I have faith in the system. My faith in the system has been all over the place during my lifetime. I'm fortunate today to hit 50 years of life on this day. Yeah, happy birthday. And I've spent 60+% of my life fighting in this arena. Trying to make sure that people could believe in the system, because the work that we have done, the things that we say, mean they can believe in the system. I don't know that a vote in the affirmative continues that work. I don't. I know it also has impact on the individual. And regardless of how we feel, that's important too. And so, as Representative Porter said, I hate the fact that we're sitting here right now, because there were conversations that happened. Because we don't have to be sitting here putting this on display right now. We could have made a different choice. But at the point where it was decided we were going to still go forward, the committee has to vote. And even if we vote in a negative, this nominee still moves forward with a negative report. And I don't know how that gets resolved in a way that's positive for the nominee. So it makes you question what exactly we're doing here today. What are we doing here today? You get out of here positive or negative. I've counted. I'll tell you, it's probably negative. And then it doesn't move forward. And all of this is in the public space. All of this is visible. The people who've been speaking have seen us effectively ignore them. The nominee's name is smeared. Why are we sitting here today? What's the point? I don't know. It's important to consider those things. There's no victory here today. There's no victory for me, however I wind up voting. As I said, I don't know how I'm gonna, but there's no victory for me. There's no, I feel good about the work that I've done has led us to this moment. I want to see all of the people who come in front of us have a good day. I want to see them, and I'll go on the record, and some people won't like this. I really want to see the Black folks because we haven't seen enough of them. But at the point when you have that trinity of folks saying, don't do this, you have to consider it. If you don't consider it, you are doing what Representative Porter said. You are just ignoring folks. When the community that a person existed in says, don't do this, you have to consider it. But the way we have functioned is we consider these things behind the scenes so that we don't make a mess in public. There's a reason why people don't believe that we ever stop anybody, because we do it in a clean way. So we do the least damage possible. And somehow when it comes to this person, we're doing this right in front of everybody. Who's benefited by that? He's not, we're not, and the public isn't. Why are we here today? I don't understand it. And I don't ever want to be here like this again. When this information comes to us and the conversations are had, everybody should be treated the same. And when this kind of thing happens, other people are treated differently than this nominee is being treated. Why? I'll say this. I never just don't offer an opinion. That's not what I do. For me, it's not just about the writing sample that's important. It's not just about the exchange that Representative Fishbein had. That's important. It's not just about the committee. It's about all of it. And it's also about, I asked a follow-up question to what Representative Fishbein asked. And I didn't get a direct answer to my question. Doesn't make me feel good. When you start adding all of these things up, I don't know that putting this person on the bench is the thing to do. And so doing what we're supposed to do, that information has gone to where it's supposed to go. Feels like it didn't mean anything. And I know others can't say certain things or won't say certain things. I'm going to say this. If it doesn't matter that information coming back, then I feel that I'm not compelled to do what the people who I've brought that information to want me to do here today. It matters. This should be done cleanly. This should be done in such a way as to preserve all of the people so that we all can feel faith in the system, not less faith. Because that's what we just did here today. I can tell you that through my conversations, we've created a sense of less faith in the system of things. And if I knew why, maybe it would make some sense to me, but I don't. So I just wanted to go on the record having said that. Wish I didn't have to say that. Wish it didn't play out the way it's playing out for the committee, the nominee, or for the public. And the people who have a role in this would do well to consider that in the future. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Further on the nomination? Senator Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, everyone. Mr. Chair, I will be voting. I'm sorry.
Put forward.
Representative Curry, can you mute, please? Senator Miller, you have the floor.
Mr. Chair, I will be voting yes with pause. I wish individuals had reached out to me to discuss with me what their reservations were. I didn't receive any feedback, especially as chair of the Black and Puerto Rican Caucus. I did have the opportunity to talk to the applicant last summer sometimes, and he seemed to be a good candidate. But listening to my colleagues, it does give me reservations. My message to the applicant or the candidate, should he make it through to the job bench, that he do what he says in his opening statement, that he judge with compassion and empathy, that he remembers his beginnings, his life experience, and understand that some of the individuals that are before him were not put in that place because they were voluntarily put in that position. That we know that trauma plays a integral part in how we turn out as adults. And so I implore him that he do consider that when he has to make a decision. And as my colleague said, will you follow the law? Yes, of course, but we know in every profession that there is latitude, that there are gray areas where there's flexibility. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Senator Lesser.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to, along with Senator Miller, I'm going to be supporting the nomination today. I take the concerns heard from the colleagues who I respect seriously. Although Attorney Joyner lives in one of the communities I represent, I've not had the opportunity to sit down with him, to meet with him. I think that out of fairness for the applicant, it would be important to be able to hear some of the concerns that some of my colleagues have heard and give the applicant an opportunity to respond. And so for that reason, I will be supporting the nomination here today.
Further on the nomination, I just want to put one thing on the record, just from our backup. There was a reference to a pending grievance. The report we received from our investigator indicates that there was a grievance that was dismissed on January 18, 2024, and that grievance is up on appeal. So just for the record, while there is an active file on that grievance, our records indicate that there was a dismissal of the at least at the initial stage, and that it is up on appeal. I want to just remark briefly as well, and certainly I share my colleagues' concerns, particularly on the writing samples and reviewing those. I am the last person who would criticize anyone for typos, grammatical mistakes. God knows I'm guilty of them constantly, but certainly in a job interview, and particularly a job interview as important as this one is, I would have hoped that the samples selected would have been of a higher quality. I also share the concerns of my colleagues with respect to some of the allegations about potential judicial temperament that from the calls I've received over the last few days. But frankly, I wish there was more of that put into the public record and into the hearing. We have a process we go by. It may be a somewhat flawed process, but it's the process that my understanding this committee has used for forever, of having a public hearing, and members of the public are allowed to come and testify at that public hearing. And we have in the past had members come and have put on the record their concerns about particular nominees. And frankly, I wish there was more in the record. We had a nomination renomination that did not go forward earlier this session. And in that instance, there was on the record a Supreme Court decision. There was on the record an admonishment. And frankly, I wish there was a fuller record here before we had to vote yes or no. So based on the record before us, I'm going to be a yes today, with the hopes of moving this forward to the full legislature for further consideration. Unless there's any further comment, Madam Administrator, please call the roll.
Roll call vote on the resolution confirming the nomination of Devant J. Joyner of Middletown to be a judge of the Superior Court. Winfield. Staffstrom.
Yes.
Flexer.
No.
Senator Flexer, if you could just turn your camera on for me.
No.
Can you try that one more time for us?
Senator Flex, we have to have your camera turned on in order to record the vote, or we can come back to you later.
Senator Flexer votes no.
Thank you. Quinn.
Yes.
Kissel.
Yeah.
Fishbein. Blumenthal.
Blumenthal, no.
Callahan.
Callahan, no.
Conley.
Oh, yes.
Representative Conley. Curry.
Representative Curry votes no.
Delaney.
Representative Delaney votes no.
Representative Dillon.
Representative Dillon votes no.
Doucette.
Doucette votes no.
Dubitsky.
No.
Elliott. Gaston.
Senator Gaston votes no.
Gilchrist. Godfrey.
Godfrey votes yes for now.
Paul.
Paul is a yes.
Harding. Hayes.
Harding's a yes.
Hayes votes no.
Howard. Johnson.
Johnson votes no.
Hahn. Labriola.
Labriola votes yes.
Lesser.
Lester, yes.
Mar.
Mar votes no.
Miller.
Miller votes yes.
O'Day.
Day votes no.
Osborne.
Osborne votes no.
Pavlik D'Amato.
Pavlik D'Amato votes no.
Porter.
Porter votes a resounding no.
Sampson.
Sampson is no.
Sims.
Sims votes no.
Veach.
Veach is a no.
Walker.
Walker votes no.
Wilson.
Wilson votes yes.
Thank you.
Next, we'll entertain a motion to favorably report on the governor's nomination of Christina N. Lopez of Weathersfield to be a judge of the Superior Court.
So moved.
Motion from Senator Kissel, second from Senator Winfield. Discussion on this nomination. Representative Fishbein.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we move the nomination of Christina M. Lopez of Weathersfield to the consent calendar.
Is there objection to place this item on consent? Seeing none, so ordered. Next, I'll entertain a motion to favorably report on the governor's nomination of Sarah Nadeem of Unionville to be a judge of the Superior Court.
So moved.
Motion from Senator Kissel, second from Senator Winfield. Discussion on the nomination. Seeing none. Representative Fishbein.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we move the nomination of Sarah Nadeem of Unionville to the consent calendar.
Is there objection to placing this nomination on consent? Is there objection? Seeing none, so ordered. Next, I'll entertain a motion to favorably report on the governor's nomination of Matthew Netchie of Glastonbury to be a judge of the Superior Court.
So moved.
Motion from the Vice Chairman, Representative Quinn, second from Representative Osborne. Is there discussion on this nomination? Representative Fishbein.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we move the nomination of Matthew Neshi of Glastonbury to the consent calendar.
Is there objection to placing this item on consent? Is there objection? Seeing none, so ordered. Next, I'll entertain a motion to favorably report on the governor's nomination of Susan E. Nugent of Hamden to be a judge at the Superior Court.
Second.
Motion from Representative Porter, second from Senator Kissel. Is there discussion? Seeing none. Rep. Fishbein.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we move the nomination of Susan E. Nugent of Hamden to the consent calendar.
Is there objection to placing this item on consent? Is there objection? Seeing none, so ordered. Next, I'll entertain a motion to favorably report on the governor's nomination of John P. Regan of Old Greenwich to be a judge at the Superior Court.
Second.
Motion from Representative O'Day, second from
Miller.
Miller. Senator Miller, is there discussion on this nomination? Is there discussion? If not, Rep. Fishbein,
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we move the nomination of John P. Regan of Old Greenwich to the consent calendar.
is there objection to placing this item on consent? Is there objection? Seeing none, so ordered. Okay, at this time, we are going to recess the Judiciary Committee meeting. I am going to call to order our public hearing for Monday, March 11, 2024. I am now going to recess our public hearing for Monday, March 11, 2004. I'm going to reconvene our committee meeting for March 11, 24. And I will entertain a motion to favorably report on the governor's nomination of Maria C. Rodriguez of West Hartford to be a judge at the Superior Court.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Senator Kissel, a second from Representative Fishbein. Is there discussion on this nomination? Is there discussion? Seeing none, Rep. Fishbein.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we move the nomination of Maria C. Rodriguez of West Hartford to the consent calendar.
Is there objection to placing this item on consent? Is there objection? Seeing none, so ordered. Next, I'll entertain a motion to favorably report on the governor's nomination of Adam R. Shibley of Windsor to be a judge of the Superior Court.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Senator Kissel, second from Representative Fishbein. Is there discussion on this nomination? Representative Porter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will be voting no on this nominee for much of the same reason. Lack of what I feel is experience. Department of Legal Research from 2010 to 11, decades ago. And I'm just concerned and asking myself, can he, handle the business of a court and keep things in order? And I'm coming up short there. So I'm going to be a no on this one as well. Thank you.
Representative Fishbein.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, there were a few of the nominees on Friday that, I walked into the room adverse with regard to their nomination. Attorney Shibley, I'm glad we had the weekend to think about this. Because at the end of the day, at least from my perspective, we need smart, articulate individuals on the bench. Certainly the gentleman can put together a brief. He presents himself well. As far as control of a courtroom, yes, it's a question mark. But, how a courtroom runs and all of that stuff, certainly there are individuals that have learned that. So once again, I'm very glad that we had the weekend to ruminate over the nominees before us. I do intend to support Attorney Shibley in his nomination. I just wanted to make that known for the record. Thank you.
Senator Kissel.
Thank you very much, Chairman Staffstrom. Good morning, everyone. I'm also going to be happily supporting Attorney Shibley. He's got tremendous background as a clerk. In response to whether he could handle a courtroom, I just think that having done innumerable motion reviews and research and help the courts throughout the state of Connecticut and even in the federal system on the nuances of our practice book, motion practice, and the like. He's just going to be a whiz. He also comes from Windsor, the town I grew up in, first English settlement in Connecticut. So we don't have enough nominees. There's another one on here too. So I was pretty happy to see that. But when he was asked, about the whirlwind of court activity, he said that, and I was really impressed that he was asked to be a clerk down in the Second Circuit, and that is just a paramount circuit down there in New York, and meeting deadlines and things like that. So I think he's young. He's got a wealth of experience from the research end of the spectrum. I'm sure that he's met tons of other judges in our system. And I just think he's going to be a tremendous asset, and look forward to his public service continuing on the bench for our judicial branch. And with that, happy to support his nomination. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Further on this nominee? If not, Madam Administrator, please call the roll.
Roll call vote on the resolution confirming the nomination of Adam R. Shibley of Windsor to be a judge of the Superior Court, Winfield. Staffstrom,
Yes.
Flexer,
Senator Flexer votes yes.
Quinn,
Yes.
Kissel,
Yes.
Fishbein,
Yes.
Blumenthal,
Blumenthal, yes.
Callahan,
Callahan, yes.
Conley, Curry, Conley, sorry.
Conley, yes.
Thank you. Curry, Delaney,
Delaney votes yes.
Dillon,
Dillon votes yes.
Doucette,
Doucette, yes.
Dubitsky,
Yes.
Elliott, Gaston,
Gaston votes yes.
Gilchrist, Godfrey,
Godfrey votes yes.
Paul,
Paul votes yes.
Harding,
Harding votes yes.
Hayes,
votes yes.
Hayes votes yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Johnson,
Johnson votes yes.
Hahn, Labriola,
Labriola votes yes.
Lesser,
Lesser, yes.
Mar,
Mar, yes.
Miller,
Miller votes yes.
O'Day,
O'Day votes yes.
Osborne,
Osborne votes yes.
Havelock D'Amato,
Havelock D'Amato votes yes.
Porter,
Representative Porter votes in the negative.
Sampson,
Sampson is yes.
Sims,
My apologies. Sims votes yes.
Beach,
Beach votes yes.
Walker, Wilson,
Wilson votes yes.
Next, I'll entertain a motion to favorably report on the governor's nomination of Pedro E. Sagara of Hartford to be a judge of the Superior Court.
So moved. Second.
Motion from Senator Kissel, second from Senator Winfield. Discussion on this nomination. Representative Fishbein.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, once again, this process is important, at least to me. We spend a lot of time, in fact, staff and I redone all of the questionnaires that nominees get over the, we've redone those over the last many months. And that's the information for the most part that we get to learn about the nominees. And I would think that when walking into this essentially job interview, that nominees would take the process just as seriously as at least I do in reviewing what they submit. And with regard to this particular nominee, we know that he is a administrative law judge presently. He does workman's compensation cases. However, there's two questions on the application, well, the questionnaire. Please provide the names of any firms, offices, part-time or full-time legal employment associated with since admission to the bar in the years of each association during the last 10 years. There's no notice to us about being an administrative law judge. Would also possibly fall under question 16. Please list all public offices or positions you have held in local, state, federal government in any of the last 10 years. I don't know how we get that omission. Another thing of importance to at least me as a legislator, you know, it doesn't really matter what we pass as laws if whoever is on the bench doesn't follow what the legislature passes as the law. So as part of the questionnaire, we asked specifically with regard to question number 13, please list 10 most significant legal matters you have handled in the last 10 years. Please include the citation if the cases are reported and explain why they are significant. So with regard to this nominee, it didn't matter that this committee asked for 10 cases. He gave us 8. And when I asked why, he said, because if I gave you 2 more, they would be repetitive. I don't care. I mean, we asked you for 10. You gave us 8. So you just decided to do something other than the legislature in the committee form had asked you to do. There's no information on here about how they were significant. And purposely, we ask that question and leave it in the gray. Please explain its significance. We don't say significance to the general public. We don't say significance to you. So I learn, because it's not on the questionnaire, that the nominee became an ALJ in 2018. So that means at some point, the nominee did their first case. I would think that at least personally, that would have been significant to that individual. We would have the opportunity to talk about that. But nonetheless, we get none of that. I don't see how I can support putting someone on the bench who is not following what the legislature has asked, has directed, has required. Aren't we just asking for trouble there? And therefore, Mr. Chairman, I cannot support this nominee, so thank you.
Further on the nominee, Senator Kissel.
Thank you very much, Chairman Staffstrom. I'm delighted to support Judge Sagara to become a judge of the Superior Court. I have the utmost respect for my friend and colleague, the good ranking member from the House, Representative Fishbein, but I just look at this nominee probably from a different perspective. I just see someone that really had a lot of hard knocks growing up and pulled himself up by the bootstraps and has really done an incredible job with his life. We all are familiar with the fact that he was once mayor of our capital city, and in all respects did an admirable job. 5 years ago, we were lucky enough to get him as a nominee to the workers' compensation area of our system. Now we call it, instead of a workers' compensation commissioner, an administrative law judge. And in all respects, I heard nothing but good reports on his deportment there. And I feel a little bad in listening to our friends on this committee that work in the workers' compensation area. We're going to lose a good jurist over in that side of the equation. I guess that's under the Department of Labor aegis as opposed to within the judicial branch. And some people have said that, is this just about trying to increase his pension? I don't think so whatsoever. Last I looked, that judges and workers' compensation commissioners or administrative law judges, that their salaries are sort of pegged to one another. I think administrative law judges are about $10,000 or thereabouts behind our judges, and they trail one another. So if the judges got a raise, the administrative law judges would get a raise. And with about 5 years to looking at his retirement, it probably wouldn't have the largest impact on one's pension, probably some. But I look at it as he wanted to move over and to be a full Superior Court judge and see that was what that was like as sort of a capstone on an otherwise really remarkable career. And I think he's going to do an excellent job in that respect as well. But the last point I wanted to raise, and I just think it's worth noting at this point in time, because we as a state and as a Judiciary Committee and as a legislature, we're still sort of grappling with balance and representation on the bench. And I think it's worthy and advisable for us to have a bench that is reflective of the diversity of our state. And sometimes that means we're going to get nominees that maybe don't have the same kind of trial experience as others. With generally a sort of very male, Caucasian kind of blend of individuals. We grappled with that years ago when we had folks that their area of law might have been more corporate or more probate and estates and things like that, so that they weren't your typical trial lawyers, or their practice had very little, if anything, to do with working in a court system. And we sort of went over that hurdle And that's like now decades behind us. I've been lucky enough to be here for 32 years, on this committee for 30, and I've seen this evolution, and I think we're making tremendous progress. But one thing I thought was worth noting with this nominee and several others that we have before us is he mentioned in passing about his husband, and nobody blinked. We don't blink anymore. Not a big deal. Well, I got to tell you, I think we all should take a big bow, because it wasn't that long ago where we had folks in here from Love Makes a Family, and we were debating year after year after year civil unions, and should gay and lesbian people be able to get married. And those were big hot topics. And now it's just in the past. It's not even worth considering. It was not mentioned with this nominee. And we had several women, they talked about their spouses being female as well, and nobody blinked. So when we look at some things that are happening in other parts of the country, Connecticut has left that in the rearview mirror long, long ago. We still grapple with race and gender to a lesser extent, but race is definitely that sort of issue that we're trying to get our arms around getting good candidates. And in some ways, it's because other areas of society are looking for those high qualified candidates of color as well. They're highly valued candidates for the corporate world and other areas. And so the state is in competition. I like it when some of my colleagues think that a salary for a judge of around $200,000 is not a big deal. That's like twice as much as I've ever earned in my whole life working 2 jobs. I think it's a significant salary, but for these extremely well-qualified professionals, there's a lot of competition in other areas with high-powered legal firms, corporations, and federal service. So I thought it would be good to just pause with this candidate, note that he had credentials that nobody even took a moment to consider, that he does have a husband, and it doesn't matter in Connecticut anymore. That just doesn't matter. I think that that's a good thing to note. Sometimes we're making progress when we're not even aware of it. But above and beyond that, I think that Attorney Sagara comes to us with a wealth of experience and has shown a good moral compass. And I think he's going to be a tremendous asset to us as a judge on the bench in our Superior Court system. Thank you, Chairman Stafford.
Thank you. Representative Godfrey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. You know, I've met Judge Sagara 40 years ago. We are both graduates of the University of Connecticut School of Law, class of 1985. And even then, I found him to be an advocate and an activist and a compassionate human being of the highest character. I've watched him over the years, certainly as he led the city of Hartford as mayor, and certainly as an administrative judge in the workers' compensation area. And he's intelligent, and he's articulate, and he's not in the least bit a victim of robitis that seems to be discussed a lot here on this committee, especially this year. And I can't think of anybody who is more qualified. He has a sterling reputation as an administrative judge. I think he's an excellent fit for the Superior Court, and I certainly endorse, not merely endorse, but enthusiastically advocate raising him to the bench. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Further on the nomination? If not, Madam Administrator. Senator Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just briefly, I want to say that I will be voting in the affirmative for this candidate. And I just want to thank him for his willingness to serve. He served as mayor, he served at workman's comp, and now he's willing to serve on the bench. And I just want to thank him for accepting the nomination, the governor's nomination, and I wish him the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Further on the nomination? Further on the nomination? If not, Madam Administrator, please call the roll.
Roll call vote on the resolution confirming the nomination of Pedro Sagara of Hartford to be a judge of the Superior Court. Winfield.
Winfield, any affirmative?
Staffstrom.
Yes.
Flexer.
Senator Flexer votes yes.
Quinn.
Yes.
Kissel.
Yes.
Fishbein.
No.
Blumenthal.
Blumenthal votes yes.
Callahan.
Callahan, yes.
Conley.
Conley, yes.
Curry. Delaney.
Delaney in the affirmative.
Dillon.
Yes.
Doucette.
Doucette, yes.
Ubitsky. Elliott. Gaston.
Senator
Gilchrist.
Gaston votes yes.
Thank you. Gilchrist.
Are these able to be
bifurcated?
Gilchrist votes yes.
Godfrey.
Godfrey votes yes.
Paul.
Paul votes yes.
Harding.
Harding votes no.
Hayes.
Hayes votes yes.
Howard.
No.
Johnson.
Johnson votes yes.
Khan. Labriola.
Labriola votes yes.
Lesser.
Lester, yes.
Marr.
You don't go to court.
Mar, yes.
Miller.
Miller votes yes.
O'Day. Osborne.
Osborne votes yes.
Pavlock D'Amato. Porter.
Porter votes in the affirmative.
Sampson.
Sampson is no.
Sims.
Sims votes in the affirmative.
Beach.
Beach is a no.
Walker. Wilson.
Wilson votes yes.
All right. I will entertain a motion to favorably report on the governor's nomination of Eric P. Smith of Litchfield to be a
So moved.
judge of the Superior Court.
Second.
Motion from Senator Winfield, second from Senator Kissel. Discussion, seeing none. Rep. Fishbein.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we move the nomination of Eric P. Smith of Litchfield to the consent calendar.
Objection, seeing none, so ordered. Next, I'll entertain a motion to favorable report on the governor's nomination of Alana M. Stone of New Haven to be judge at Superior Court. Motion from Rep. Porter, second from Senator Winfield. Discussion, seeing none. Rep. Fishbein.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we move the nomination of Elena M. Stone of New Haven to the consent calendar.
Is there objection? Seeing none, so ordered. Next, I'll entertain a motion to favorable report on the governor's nomination of Melissa L. Strito of Weathersfield to be a judge at Superior Court. Motion from Senator Winfield, second from Senator Kissel. Is there discussion on the nomination? Is there discussion? Seeing none. Rep. Fishbein.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we move the nomination of Melissa L. Strito of Weathersfield to the consent calendar.
Is there objection to place inside my consent? If not, so ordered. Next, I'll entertain a motion to favorably report on the governor's nomination of Nicole J. Tongue of Cheshire to be a judge of the Superior Court.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Senator Kissel, second from Representative Fishbein. And discussion on this nomination. Discussion, seeing none. Rep. Fishbein.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we move the nomination of Nicole J. Tongue of Cheshire to the consent calendar.
Is there objection placing this item on consent? If not, so ordered. Next, I'll entertain a motion to favorably report on the governor's nomination of Matthew T. Wax Krell of West Hartford to be a judge of the Superior Court.
So moved.
Motion from Senator Kissel, second from Vice Chairman Quinn. Is there discussion on the nomination? Is there discussion? Seeing none. Rep. Fishbein.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we move the nomination of Matthew T. Wax Krell of West Hartford to the consent calendar.
Is there objection to placing this item on consent? Is there objection? Seeing none, so ordered. Next, I'll entertain a motion of favorable report on the governor's nomination of Colleen Zingaro of Newtown to be a judge of the Superior Court.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Senator Kissel, second from Rep. Fishbein. And discussion on the nomination. Discussion. Seeing none. Rep. Fishbein.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we move the nomination of Colleen Zingaro of Newtown to the consent calendar.
Is there objection to placing this item on consent? Is there objection? If not, so ordered. Next, I'll entertain a motion of favorable report on the governor's nomination of Jessica W. Simpson of Windsor to be a family support magistrate.
Second.
Motion from Senator Kissel, second from Representative Fishbein. Senator Kissel.
Thank you very much, Chairman Staffstrom. I'm happy to support Attorney Simpson. She really did herself proud when she came to testify, has a wealth of experience, be a remarkably good fit. I think some of my colleagues have said she'd even make a fabulous Superior Court judge. She also hails from Windsor, the town that I grew up in, and she even said she bumps into folks involved in her representation when she goes shopping at Stop and Shop in Windsor, which actually falls within my part of Windsor in my district. So, hey, she may even be a constituent, which would be fabulous. But again, I want to commend Attorney Natalie Braswell and Governor Ned Lamont for their hard work in putting these nominees together. It's not an easy job. There's winners and losers, difficult decisions, but I think this nominee in particular will do a fabulous job in her new capacity. And again, I thank you, Chairman Staffstrom.
Further on the nominee, Representative Fishbein.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Chairman, as you know, I usually come to the table with a can-do attitude. Somebody tells me I can't do something, especially my wife. You never tell me at home I can't do something because I'm gonna find a way to do it. Anyway, I did spend a few hours this weekend trying to find out if we could amend our agenda here today to put Attorney Simpson, make her a Superior Court judge. Unfortunately, I was told that I can't, and I couldn't prove that to be wrong. So, she, as I said the other day, her smile is infectious. She comes to the table with a positive attitude. She has plenty of experience in court, and I look forward to sometimes seeing her as a family support magistrate. So I just want to speak out in favor.
Further on the nomination, Rep. Fishbein for motion, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion to move the nomination of Jessica W. Simpson of Windsor to the consent calendar.
Is there objection? Seeing none, so ordered. Finally, I'll entertain a motion of favorable report on the governor's nomination of the Honorable Tony Fatone of West Hartford to be a workers' compensation administrative law judge.
moved.
Motion from Vice Chairman Quinn, a second from Representative Fishbein. Discussion, seeing none. Rep. Fishbein.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to remove the nomination of the Honorable Tony Fatone of West Hartford to the consent calendar.
Is there objection to placing this item on consent? Is there objection? Seeing none, so ordered. Madam Administrator, if you could please call the consent calendar.
Consent calendar consisting of the following nominations to be a judge of the Superior Court: Corrine Boni-Vandola of Wallingford, Kristen A. Connors of Newtown, Stephen R. Dembo of Bloomfield, Cody N. Guarnieri of South Windsor, Christine Jean-Louis of Wallingford, Christina M. Lopez of Weathersfield, Sarah Nadeem of Unionville, Matthew Nietzsche of Glastonbury, Susan E. Nugent of Hamden, John P. Regan of Old Greenwich, Maria C. Rodriguez of West Hartford, Eric P. Smith of Litchfield, Elena M. Stone of New Haven, Melissa L. Strito of Weathersfield, Nicole J. Tung of Cheshire, Matthew T. Wax-Krell of West Hartford, and Colleen Zingaro of Newtown, to be a family support magistrate, Jessica W. Simpson of Windsor, and to be a workers' compensation administrative law judge, the Honorable Tony Fatone of West Hartford, Winfield. Staffstrom.
Yes.
Flexer.
Senator Flexer votes yes.
Quinn.
Yes.
Kissel.
Yes.
Fishbein.
Yes.
Blumenthal.
Blumenthal, yes.
Callahan.
Callahan, yes.
Conley.
Conley, yes.
Curry. Delaney.
Delaney, yes.
Dillon.
Dillon, yes.
Doucette.
Doucette, yes.
Dubitsky.
Yes.
Elliott. Gaston.
Gaston votes yes.
Gilchrist.
Gilchrist votes yes.
Godfrey.
Godfrey votes yes.
Paul.
Paul votes yes.
Harding.
Harding votes yes.
Hayes.
Hayes votes yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Johnson votes yes.
Khan. Labriola.
Labriola votes yes.
Lesser.
Lesser, yes.
Marr.
Marr, yes.
Miller.
Miller, yes.
O'Day.
O'Day, yes.
Osborne,
Osborne, yes.
Havelock Tomato,
Havelock Tomato votes yes.
Porter,
Porter votes in the affirmative.
Sampson,
Sampson is yes.
Sims,
Sims votes in the affirmative.
Beach,
Beach is yes.
Walker,
Walker votes yes.
Wilson.
Wilson is yes.
All right, that concludes our business for this morning. We will hold the meeting open until 11 o'clock for members to get votes in, at which point our public hearing will resume at 11. So we stand in recess until 11 o'clock. Thank you all.
Go down, take a picture with her. Do you think she will?
Really?
Representative Conley, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I believe I missed number 8.
For Devant Joyner,
Yes, Conley votes yes.
Conley votes yes. Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
I think I missed 16. O'Day votes yes.
For Sagara. O'Day votes yes. Okay, you're all set.
Did I don't think I missed any others, did I? I'm sorry.
That's right. Give me 1 sec. Hang on 1 sec.
Sorry, Kirsten. I think you're still muted.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're all set. Happy for everything.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Representative Johnson.
Hi, Kirsten. I think I voted for all, but just want to confirm for 2. Please.
I have you for this. I've got you for Joyner. Maybe for Burkhead. I have you for Anker, and I've got you. Yeah, I think you're all set.
Oh, thank
That
you.
and consent. You're all set. Yep.
Perfect.
Thank you
Have
so
a good
much.
day. Thank you.
Representative Gilchrist.
Hi, I definitely missed the beginning votes and then I don't know.
So for the first, for Nicole Anker, South Glastonbury.
Yes.
Okay. For Tamar Burkhead.
Yes.
For Devant Joyner.
No.
For Adam Shibley of Windsor.
Yes.
Okay, and then I've got you for Sagara and I've got you for the consent. So you're all set.
Awesome. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Representative Delaney,
Morning, Madam Administrator.
how are you?
I am good.
Oh.
I think I missed vote one,
Yep, for Nicole Anker of South Glastonbury.
in the affirmative.
Okay, and then don't go just yet. Should make sure Delaney got you. You're all set. And you're all set in consent as well. Yep. Thank you so much, Representative.
Roger that, and thank you for everything you do.
Of course, take care.
Bye.
Senator Gaston.
Good morning, Madam Administrator.
How
How
are
are
you?
you?
Good, and yourself?
Good, good. I think I missed the beginning votes.
So for Nicole Anker of South Glastonbury.
Yes,
Okay. For Tamar Burkhead of
yes,
Clifford. Okay. For let's see. I've got you for Joyner. Shibley, and then consent. You're all set. I have you covered.
yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Representative Dubitsky.
I believe I just missed 16.
This one? Oh, shoot. Yeah. Then I'm missing you. Yep, for Sagara.
Yes,
Okay. And I have you for consent. You're all set. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Hi, Representative, how are you?
How's it going?
Good. So for Nicole Anker of South Glastonbury, how would you like to vote?
Yes.
For Tamar Burkhead,
Yes.
for Devant Joyner,
Yes. Joiner? No.
for Adam Shibley,
Yes.
for Pedro Sagara,
Yes.
and then for the consent calendar.
Yes.
Okay, you're all set. Thank you. Good morning, Representative. How are you?
Hi, good morning.
On Nicole Anker of South Glastonbury,
Yes.
on Tamar Burkhead of Hartford,
Say the name again?
Tamar Burkhead,
Yes.
for Devant Joyner of Middletown,
Good. No. Thank you, though.
No.
okay, for Adam Shibley of Windsor,
Yes.
for Pedro Sagara of Hartford,
Yes.
and then for the consent calendar.
Yes.
Okay, you're all set. Thank you so much.